Hello, everyone. Welcome to LECTORAlive. I'm Rick Zanotti, and today, got a great guest. Here we go. And we are back, and I'm joined today by a well-known Lectora user, somebody who's been in the community for a while, and her name is Jane Boyden. She works at the Michigan Public Health Institute, a nonprofit, non-government organization, private organization that works a lot with government in public health. And Jane, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad you could join us, especially last moment, because this was kind of our off day. We usually do these on Fridays, and today is a Thursday. So, but with the holidays coming on, we didn't want to miss the opportunity of having someone on, and you were very well recommended. So we're glad you could make it. And tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do and how you got into what you do with Lectora and other things.
I am an online course builder at my company. I have worked with MPHI for more than 5 years in 2 different spans. I have been a trainer, both in person and online, for more years than I care to admit. I started off training other people when I was active duty military, training people when I was working as a defense contractor, and kind of fell into the training realm. But it's a good fit for me and my personality. And then when I started working at MPHI in 2007, I was then introduced to Lectora for the first time and fell in love with the tool. It's been one I've worked with steadily at MPHI. I took a 3-year break and worked for another company for a short time, but came back and fell in love with Lectora all over again. Versions 11 and 12 are vast improvements over what we started with way back when, and it's just been a fun ride.
Yeah, I really enjoy the new 12 in particular. I'm really enjoying. They've done a great job with it, and the capabilities and the features. They're also a lot easier to use now. Even not that it was ever really hard, but I think they've made it even easier. And so I didn't realize that you were active military at one point.
Yes,
What
I was
branch?
Air Force.
Air Force?
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who were Air Force, and they always go, "We were in the non-military." I go, "What do you mean?" So there's always that joke, I guess. But
the tongue-in-cheek cheer force.
Yes. That's funny. Were you stationed in the U.S. or?
I was. I spent some time in California, in Texas, and Colorado. And then after I got out of the military, I turned around and came back in as a defense contractor. I worked for Raytheon, both in Denver, and then I spent some time overseas in Australia. Lived over there for 5 years.
Wow, that's interesting. That's exciting. That's pretty good. Like, were you in
given me
Sydney
a
or
bigger
Melbourne or somewhere else? When you were in Australia, were you in Sydney or?
I was in Alice Springs, which is dead smack in the middle of the country.
Oh, gosh. Kind of in the middle of nowhere, right?
It is. They like to say it's the closest town to all beaches in Australia.
Interesting. That's exciting. That's pretty good. Were you an officer in the military?
I was not. I was enlisted. I was only in for 3.5 years. I ended up getting medically discharged for carpal tunnel syndrome.
Oh,
I was too good at my job.
That sounds good. So how did you wind up getting actually into Lectora? Was it through this particular job or before?
It was through this job. I came into Michigan Public Health Institute after I left Raytheon, and had just finished finally getting my degree. And it was the first time I'd been exposed to online course development software. And crash course in Lectora, we had one of the Lectora trainers at the time come out to our company and teach us how to do stuff. And apparently when I interviewed for the job the first time, I made some comment about I can learn any software within 2 hours. I don't remember saying that. I claim it was stress. But I pick up software easily, and Lectora was one of those ones I took to, like your proverbial duck to water. It's a lot of fun to use, and even back then it was quite intuitive and easy to pick up.
You know, we felt the same way. When I first got into Lectora, I went, this is pretty easy. This is kind of cool. And I like the metaphor. I really like that book metaphor they took as far as the chapters, the subsections, the pages. I find it really easy to just navigate around in it and do pretty much anything we want. Have you run into any limitations or things that you've had to really figure out workarounds, or for the most part, just works?
There are a couple. Not so much in the latest release. The 11 and especially 12 have covered a lot of the interactivity issues that we were trying to incorporate. Some of the third company, like Lectora's partnered with eLearning Brothers now, but before they were partnered, we were using some of the interactive features from eLearning Brothers, and they were Flash-based. We're trying to back away from Flash-based stuff because of its limitations on mobile devices.
Right.
So before version 12, trying to come up with some of the ways to mimic that Flash activity in Lectora was a challenge.
Right. And there weren't too many HTML5 tools or anything else that could build something like that. And then we still have an issue with the browsers out there not supporting HTML5, the older ones.
Right.
And boy, when you go into some corporations, they have very old browsers.
We just launched a new LMS for another client, and they needed a custom LMS because the demographics they were collecting information on at the beginning were much more in depth than any of our other learning management systems. And so we used Lectora to build the customized registration pages and launch that within the LMS. And we thought everything was great. We tested it. We used Browser Stack to test cross browsers. We launched it, and then we met with the customer, and they're like, yeah, we got this handful of people who can't register. I'm like, can you find out what browser they're using? They're still on IE6.
Yeah.
So we had to actually, we built it in Lectora 12. We had to go back and rebuild the registration pages in Lectora 11 because 12 added some weird stuff in it that wasn't compatible with older browsers.
Yeah.
So we had to rebuild it in an older version of Lectora to get it to work. But it's still stuff like that we're running across. It's frankly,
limitations. In today's day and age, it's an absolute aberration for any company to be on such an old browser. IT departments, and I used to run IT departments, and I was probably different from most. I kept up. Staying behind just gets you behind. You never have the software that runs right or anything else. And when IT departments say we do it for security, whose? Because nobody can run anything on them. So it's an interesting kind of thing. We're working with some pretty large companies right now, and they tend to have. Right now, they've actually moved from, I think, IE 9 on up. So that's actually not too bad. And they even support IE 11. I think there's an IE 12, or is there? I think it's IE 11.
I think 11 is the highest they've
and
gone
that works actually pretty well. It's not too bad a browser considering it's IE. It actually works well. It's fast. But yeah, that's an interesting point about the browser issues because Lectora got blamed a lot in the old days for things that they had no control over.
Right.
And that was the browsers. And, everybody had to a point browser issues, but Lectora, because they generated HTML, had a little bit more at one point, though they were really good about fixing things and giving you code when something didn't work, especially in IE6, and we've been through that one.
Yeah.
And other than that, everything works pretty well. I like the HTML approach because it's clean. Now, when you brought up Flash, another thing I find interesting, none of us can run Flash unless it's a game. Almost all the games on iOS are Flash-based.
Yeah.
Angry Birds. People go, Flash doesn't run on an iOS. Yeah, have you ever played Angry Birds? Yeah, well, that's Flash. And people are shocked, but it's Flash. It's interesting what you can do with Flash, but not in e-learning. It's too difficult.
It is.
So, and yeah, the interactions are good. And what I like about the eLearning Brother interactions bundled into Lectora are the fact that you have total control over what it does afterwards. You can modify them. You can change the colors. You can actually change the way they behave, which is actually pretty nice. Have you been using a lot of the built-in stuff at this point?
With the interactions that we do, yeah, we create a lot of the courses we create are text heavy. The ones for the breast cancer group that we just finished are teaching people how to use an online system to enter client information into a database, and the other one is for clinicians who are working with women who have had abnormal breast cancer or breast exam results. So it's teaching them how to work with those. Very text heavy. The clinical version of that course has continuing education units assigned to it. So it's big words, medical terms, stuff like that.
Sure.
And images in there that you can't unsee. don't do yourself a favor and never look for some of those weird breast cancer ailments on the National Cancer Institute site, because again, there's stuff you can't unsee.
Huh.
But trying to come up with interesting ways with content like that. So we create buttons to click out to pop up pages for information. We try to stay away from rollover text because our not motto, but our belief is that if it's important enough to show them, it's something that we need to be able to have them print, and rollovers aren't really printable.
Yeah, and
So
they
we
don't
stay
work
away
on
from those.
mobile, sadly.
Yeah.
You know, it winds up converting it into you have to touch it.
Yep.
Which is okay, but that's interesting. Now, you were going to share your screen a little bit and show us some of the, and you're also, by the way, you're working on CourseMill too, I think you said.
Yes, our learning management systems, we have 5 of them currently that are used for, one we have for our internal company, and then one is a public LMS that is widely available to anybody who has a URL and wants to create an account. The courses in it are all free. And then we have 3 that are specific for external customers. And so let me get to our LMS here.
This is one of the beauties of Skype. You can actually share your screen and do things. Here we go. And we are seeing your screen.
All right, let me get rid of the email.
So this is CourseMill right now.
This is CourseMill, and this is the completed course. We have a generic login because the one course I'm going to show you is the motivational interviewing. It was designed for clinicians and therapists who work with at-risk adolescents.
Okay.
It incorporates several different technologies. We have code baby avatars that are narrating many of the pages in the course. We've also created animated video scenarios using Go Animate, and to try and reinforce some of the concepts in the course.
How do you like Go Animate?
I love it. I really like the flexibility that it provides. It makes it a lot easier to give diversity in videos.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes iStock can be very narrow-minded in some of its pictures.
Right.
The one thing Go Animate doesn't have yet, and I'm sure they will soon, is women with head coverings, like Muslim features type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the course, if I can get to one of the pages here, you'll see that the narrator in the corner. And then we've incorporated those Go Animate characters throughout the course, not only just within the videos, but as characters to demonstrate the different age stages for these different groups.
Now, is Go Animate generating Flash or is it HTML or HTML5?
We have we use Go Animate to produce them, and then we play them within the HTML preview and use Camtasia to record them so that we can add music and anything else we need to afterwards.
Yeah, we've done stuff like that too, because that way you can get around some of the other limitations of Flash.
Yes, and that way we can publish it as an MP4.
Yeah, perfect.
And put it in the course as we want it. But how bad would a video look if I tried showing one?
It should look okay.
Okay, let me see if I can remember
I don't
where
think we'll
they're
get
at.
I'm not sure we'll get the audio in, but are you doing mobile development too, or do these courses also go out mobile, or are they strictly desktop at this point?
For the most part, they're desktop. One of the courses we have is in infant safe sleep for child care providers, and we get a lot of troubleshooting type emails from customers or clients who are trying to view it on a mobile device, especially iPads. iOS does not like that course because it has an auto advance feature.
Oh, okay.
And iOS shuts that right down. So this is an example of a video we created using the Go Animate software.
There it goes. Now, there is audio on this. It's just not coming in for anybody
Okay.
who's watching.
Okay.
It's tricky on
I'll
set.
stop playing it then because it's probably not going to be beneficial. We contracted with a third-party company based in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for the voices. They were really good about giving us, like, we asked for an Indian female to be the doctor, an
Okay.
Asian teenager. So she had this wide slew of voices to provide us
Oh, that's good.
to fill in these voices in these videos. And that was a fun course to work on. There was a lot of interaction in it as far as working through things and figuring them out.
Yeah.
And
Well, actually,
this
that's
was
a lot
a
of stuff 'cause
challenge
you've
with
got
the
Code
variables
Baby.
and actions in the course.
Yeah, what's nice about that is you incorporated Code Baby. You've got a Go Animate, and you mentioned a couple of others in the pre-show that you were using.
Correct. We are just now starting to use, what did I say the name of it was? I'm going to stop sharing my screen if that's okay.
Oh, sure. There you are. You're back.
That way I can move around on my desktop without worrying about what you're seeing. CrazyTalk Animator is one
CrazyTalk.
we just downloaded and are starting to use. It gives us more variety with some characters. There's no customization. Well, I shouldn't say no. There's not an inexpensive way to customize the characters in Code Baby.
Okay, right.
So the ones that you get in the package are what you have. With the CrazyTalk Animator, yes, there's a lot of standard characters that come with it, but you can go on the CrazyTalk, their website, and there are third-party vendors who are developing and selling all kinds of added-in packages with new characters and
Okay.
things
Now,
like that.
CrazyTalk is only heads, or is it more now?
It's full body.
Oh, it is?
And,
Okay.
and it gives a full 3D range of motion as far as side, front, back type thing.
How hard is it to use for people?
It seems to be on par with Code Baby, so there's a bit of a learning curve to getting used to it.
Okay.
But it's functionally very similar.
Okay. Whereas Go Animate's just a little bit easier.
Go Animate, I thought Go Animate was very easy. I like Go Animate because, again, we can customize the characters. For the adolescent course that we created, that motivational interviewing one, we needed a pregnant Asian teenager. And not real easy to find some of that stuff in other animated software, but we just morphed some body shapes and came up with our pregnant Asian teenager.
That's funny. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like what you're doing with the animation tools and incorporating them and everything else. It makes life just a little more fun and a little bit easier. Have you had any issues getting any of the animation tools into Lectora or published out? It looks like not, because everything looked clean with what you were showing.
The only real limitation we ever seem to come across is on a server side, and we just work with our server guys here to say, hey, this file's not uploading. Can you bump up the upload size?
Okay.
So that's all back-end stuff. From a user perspective, the one course I mentioned, we just have to caution users not to try to look at it on an iOS device, preferably a laptop or a PC,
Yep.
so that they don't run into any issues.
Yeah, so iOS is actually stopping you from moving forward on that's a trigger that just moves it forward, or an action?
It's an auto advance feature in the course.
Yeah.
You can turn that off so that you can manually click the next button, but it's designed for ease of use. It was a mandatory course that came out where all child care providers in the state of Michigan had to take the course.
Okay.
So it's our most popular one. We've had thousands and thousands of people take it.
Oh, that's
But
great.
when we designed it, it's not just spouting information off about the safe sleep positions for children. The state of Michigan and another company that they partnered with to develop the course brought in a child care provider who had lost an infant in her care and interviewed her, and her interview is an integral part of the course, and it's a gut-wrenching interview.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I had to transcribe it, and I had to shut my emotions off as I was transcribing it, because I'd find myself sitting there sobbing like, oh my God, that's so sad.
I know. Yeah, and anytime kids are involved, it's just horrible, isn't it?
It is. And so incorporating the caregiver's video and audio into it, and then we had one of our developers here provide the majority of the voice for the course, but it's all audio based and in the background, so that when the audio finishes playing, the course is supposed to automatically advance to the next slide.
And iOS couldn't handle that.
It does not. It blocks that auto advance feature, and we get so many calls saying, "Where's the next button? I can't get anywhere."
What was that running in Safari?
That I don't know.
I wonder.
We never got that much detail back from the majority of people. The canned email we ended up having to send out was basically many mobile devices and iOS devices tend to block auto advance. Please try to use a laptop or a computer.
Okay. Now, when you work with Lectora or any of the tools you're working with, how do you get your support? Do you go to the community? Do you just go to social media? What's your venue for getting help from people?
With issues that I've come across, for the most part, I try to. I love problems. I like logic problems, and to me, coming across a problem I can't solve is something for me to try to solve. Yep. If I'm really stuck and can't figure it out, or it's a bug, I go to the different venues communities. The Lectora user community is really robust, and I've found help there quite often. The Go Animate, the video softwares and the animated softwares that we use, I've not come across anything I don't know how to use, or that their help software that's on board provides information on.
That's good. That's good. So have you ever gone to the Lectora Users Conference? I've never been yet. All these years, and we were working with Lectora for almost a decade, have almost made one of them, and then it always winds up right in the middle of when we're in the middle of things. And I'm just like, next year
I have not been to one.
You haven't either. I want to go.
Not last year's, but the year before, we actually submitted proposals that were accepted, but it came out down to proposals for sessions.
Yes.
But it ended up coming down to basically, we had another conference we had to go to that conflicted, so we had to pick one or the other, and unfortunately, Lectora didn't win that time.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, that's how it's been with us. Even when they were close, they were in Beverly Hills about 2 years ago, and I went, it's so close. I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I was stuck in the middle of some customer things, and it just couldn't make it. I could have made it one day, but it didn't happen. So it was just a bummer. So I'm dying to go. Everybody I know who's been to one said they're just wonderful. They're fun. They're wonderful. They're informative. Are you looking forward to seeing some of the responsive stuff that they're doing? I know some people who went to the current one, and John Blackman, the CTO at Trivantis, demonstrated the responsive learning for mobile, and they were blown away by it. They said it just worked beautifully. So I think that's going to come out before the end of the year, maybe end of summer, but looking forward to it. It looks interesting. It
does. My manager she went to the Lectora User Conference, and she's also part of a group that, I can't remember what she called it, but it's a committee that Lectora has invited external users to users group type thing.
Okay.
So she knew about the new technology coming out long ago, and she's like, hey, this is coming. We're really excited about it, but don't tell anybody until they announce it. So we've been like sitting here waiting for it to come out. I'm excited to get it and see how easy it is to manipulate between the different devices as far as how it looks, how it works. And I'll be interested to see how it deploys well into our LMS and works well with CourseMill, because it's all fine and good to have your course mobile compatible. We just need to make sure the launching platform is also.
Yeah, I've never run into. I've only worked on two, Lectora, CourseMill sites, and CourseMill ran beautifully. We never really had any issues with it. It's clean. Have you had the same experience with CourseMill as far as launching your content, tracking, and all the things you want to do?
Yes, it's especially now of the 5 learning management systems we have, the 5 instances of it, 2 of them now have the new advanced reporting.
Yeah.
And that is a godsend as far as being able to customize and pull only the certain data that you want that wasn't available unless you knew coding, and that's not fun coding to make those reports work.
It isn't. Getting into SQL and doing all, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and the report writers aren't necessarily all that much easier, but they've done a great job on that one. So that was kudos to them on that to make the LMS is actually a little bit more useful. What a novel concept. So
And CourseMill 7 gives us that those 3 new tabs. So you've got your courses, the My Courses ones that you're enrolled in, then the completed one, and then like your transcript. Whereas before it was, people had trouble figuring out where to get to their transcript and their completion certificates. And with the new tabbed feature in CourseMill 7, it makes it a lot easier. And there's an advanced version of the transcripts that people can drill down in and see how long they took to get a course done and all that stuff.
That's good. Well, before we wrap up, I've got one question for you. And we haven't really asked anybody this before, but we're going to start because it's just something interesting. If you had to think of one feature that you would love to see in Lectora, what would that be?
Oh, God, I don't know. When they released 12, they put in so many of the things that we wanted to have, like the image manipulation that wasn't there before. That's a tough one, and I don't think I have a good answer for you right now. Like I said, 12 answered a lot of our 12 answered a lot of our wish list items and fixed a lot of quirky things. And for right now, I'm happy with the way it is and couldn't imagine it being much better.
Yeah, the only thing I want that I keep asking John for is more transitions.
Yeah.
Just some more, and for example, a page transition where you could do a fade to black or a crossfade. I'd love to see that because it would make it so much more movie-like when you go from one thing to another. It's only on the page level because you have it on the, I should say on the slide level or the page level versus the object level where you have all those.
Right.
But that I'd like to see, just something where, now even maybe the ability to control, you can control it pretty easily right now, but that's what I'd like to see, just a little bit more transitions. He actually, I bugged him for a while to get a fade, and he goes, I gave you that. Yeah, but it's at the object level. How about the page level? All right, fine.
Yeah. We do have, I'll be interested to see with the new technology when it comes out, like you said, end of summer time frame. I'll be interested to see how well the slide with, your mobile devices, rather than hitting a next button, if we could get the slide capability easily.
That'd be nice. Actually, that would be really
pages.
Good to be able to swipe. And I haven't tried that on the mobile yet. It's not available at this point. The hand gestures aren't there.
I don't know if it is.
I thought there was something, but I may be wrong. But that would be nice. That would actually be really nice because then you have the ability to be totally. Then you can develop mobile without having to worry about it. You don't have to press buttons or anything. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So, but they may have that. I don't know. I vaguely think they might. I just haven't played with it that much. As much as everybody talks about mobile day and night, we don't have one client that does anything mobile. So, it's a nice idea, but security kind of gets in the way sometimes. So, oh well.
Yeah.
Well, Jane, it's been a pleasure meeting finally and talking with you. And are you going to be doing any talks or any presentations anywhere, any shows you're planning on going to?
No, there's an online learning conference in Denver in the beginning of October that I am dying to get to. I would love to go to there. There's a lot of information that I believe will be helpful for there. And then as a group, our team is going to a Scrum training here mid-July to hopefully help streamline our development features and functions.
That sounds good. And if you ever have a chance, DevLearn is a good show too. That's also, I think, at the end of September this year. There's a lot of conferences I'd love to get to. It's just getting the time to get away. Time and money.
Yeah.
Those are always two good ones. Well, Jane, again, appreciate you coming on. If people want to get a hold of you or any social media, anywhere they can reach out to you?
I do have a Twitter account, but I don't use it that often.
Okay, LinkedIn?
I had it to just stalk my daughter for a while.
I know that well. LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. It's my name, Jane Boyden.
Okay.
And otherwise, our company is mphi.org, and my email address is jboyden@mphi.org.
Sounds great. Well, Jane, again, a pleasure having you on, and we will see you next time. Hopefully I'll see you at one of the Lectora user conferences because you and I have the same track record with that one.
Yeah.
And there, I want to go. I actually really do want to go. So maybe we'll meet at that one, or maybe meet at one of the other shows. But either which way, I'm glad we got to meet, and this will be up a little bit later today on YouTube. And
All
if
right.
you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, preferably an up. We just like ups better; they're nicer. And we look forward to seeing you next week on LECTORAlive. Have a good one, everyone. Bye bye. Thanks again.